Hello and welcome to Shooter Ready, the GBPRA podcast. This is episode 4 of season 3, and we've got a very, very special episode lined up for you tonight because I'm joined by the senior division team shooters for Great Britain. Hi guys, how are we doing?
Hello.
Good, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Excellent. So I'm joined tonight by, and I've written your names down because although I know them, I like to make sure that I do things professionally and don't get things wrong. But I'm joined tonight by David Arnold, Mark Twitty, Simon Catling, and Duncan McIlwaine. Duncan, did I pronounce that right?
You did right. You did good.
Yeah, I asked your son Ben when he came on for the Factory Division podcast episode if I got the pronunciation right. I do pride myself on getting that name right because it's not an easy one. When you read it, it doesn't look like McIlwaine. But
yeah, we'll get working on Duncan for you next time, Christian.
We'll sort that out.
Yeah, that's for next year.
yeah, absolutely. So guys, I think this is the first time I've had senior division shooters over on the podcast. Is that right? Has anybody been on the podcast before?
No, I haven't.
No, I don't think so. I think the closest I've got to ever doing anything like a podcast with any of you was Duncan one time in Orion at one of the precision rifle matches. Did I not interview you for our YouTube channel?
I think briefly.
Yes. Yeah, and I did also at Orion. You interviewed me at Orion.
That's right, Mark. Yeah, that's right. Well, then with the good old days, the bad old days, however we want to describe them. But doesn't Orion feel like a long time ago now?
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah,
I just remember my teeth chattering all the way through it.
It was definitely one of those. It was definitely one of those locations, wasn't it, where you never really knew quite what weather you were going to get, but whatever you did get, it was always going to be extreme.
Yes, yeah,
absolutely. Dave, Simon, did you guys ever make it up to Orion for a match?
Not yet. No.
No. Well, there's no precision rifle shooting up there at this time, but I always hold out hopes that there'll be another match up there one day in the future. It was a great venue for it. Maybe not for 2-2 though. We're challenging enough with centre fire.
Yeah.
And of course, we're here to talk tonight about 2-2 specifically because you guys have just come back. Well, I say just come back. It's been a couple of months now, but you represent the team Great Britain and Northern Ireland. I've got to say Northern Ireland because Duncan's here tonight. Represented us at the World Championship, the IPRF World Championships in Italy.
Yes. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Great. Well, we'll definitely make sure. I'll try to. Fair enough. Well, we'll make sure we talk about that tonight as well on the episode. So, look, guys, before I am in danger of waffling on too much, I think it's time that you guys introduce yourself and did a bit of the talking. So, in time-honoured tradition, what I like to do is I like to start off with whoever's sat in the top left-hand corner of my screen and work my way around. So, Dave, do you want to just introduce yourself to our listeners and watchers, please?
Yeah, I'm Dave Arnold, 58 years old. I've been shooting most of my life, usually just at targets. But the last year, our club has pushed for PRS. I found it absolutely fantastic. I've improved massively. Didn't show that in Italy, unfortunately, but since coming back, I've improved even more. I've got new kit. And I'm looking forward to qualifying for the 2025 World Championships if I can.
Yes, fantastic. So what club was it that you were shooting at when they took up the PR and got you into it?
Tamar Rangers is the club. We've pushed it. We've been pushing it. Mark and the secretary Steve Slevin have been pushing it massively, and it's amazing. It's given a purpose to my shooting, not just sitting there shooting at targets anymore. Now we're actually moving about. We're going to different places, different clubs, meeting different people, and obviously managed to get to the World Championships. It's been amazing.
You know, that's really interesting to hear because I sort of hear that from a few other shooters as well about, once they start shooting precision rifle, just how consuming it is and how involved people get into it, especially because you know, there's a whole new sort of skill set of, you know, shooting skill set that comes with it that you have to learn. And Duncan, we were having a bit of preamble, weren't we, at the beginning before we started the call, and you were talking about a steep learning curve, learning how to shoot precision rifles. So Dave, it sounds like you've got the bug.
Oh, it's not a hobby anymore. No, it's a passion now. Yeah.
Well, it can't be a hobby because you're shooting for Great Britain.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely not a hobby. Yeah, very proud to wear that GB shirt, by the way.
Yeah, no, I know you were. And one of my favorite pictures that I took in Italy was of you getting, you know, just collecting your thoughts prior to going and shooting the boat stage.
One of my favorite pictures as well.
Yeah. I could really see that you were you know, taking the occasion and the moment very, very seriously.
Yeah.
Excellent, great, Dave. Thanks for joining us tonight. So next on my screen is Mark. Mark, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Mark Twitty, 67 years old. I've been shooting 59 years.
Wow.
I started when I was 6 when I lived in Australia. Came back to the UK 84. Carried on shooting here. I'm one of the 3 on the, I can see, in the senior team in the same club, Tamar Rangers. Mm-hmm. I'm the safety officer there. My job, I'm a registered firearms dealer. My main business is firearms, Cerakoting and bits and pieces. I've taken competition quite seriously over the years. Shot most things, but I've ended up with rifles now. I did all the pistol thing when everybody did pistols and stuff like that. Shot the Czech sniper comps for 6-7 years. Been shooting PRS and different things. So yeah, I'm into it. And never really thought that the 2.2 PRS would be my thing, but I love it. I just think, to be honest, I think it's more difficult hitting a target at 300 meters with a 2.2 than it's hitting a full bore target at 1,000. There's just too many other variables going on, and yeah, I've really got into it. And I, again, like Dave and everybody else here tonight, was really proud to have that shirt on.
Fantastic. So you see the 2.2 precision rifle then as more enjoyable or more challenging than centerfire?
I certainly, for myself, I find it more challenging because of the variables in ammunition. You know, you can't load your own ammunition, so you're reliant on the ammo, and the wind is a killer. The wind is a killer. And, you know, I mean, I run a range, which is 300 meters, and a lot of the guys, and I held a qualifier for everybody to go to Italy at my range. And we shoot there every couple of weeks. And yeah, it's, I think 2.2 is more difficult. I think it's, you don't have recoil, you don't have blast, but there's other variables you got to really think about. And I find it more fun, I'll be honest with you. I like, at the end of the day, I've fired 100, 200 rounds. I haven't got any concussive, you know, blast back, and, you know, I just find it enjoyable. Yeah. I take everything seriously, but I find it enjoyable.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you talk about rimfire precision rifle in that sense, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that listen and maybe aren't initiated into the sport of precision rifle, be it rimfire or centerfire, and would just assume that shooting rimfire would be easier than centerfire. But you've quite accurately drawn out the key differences there, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at, like, you know, I mean, I haven't touched on the worlds yet, but when you see some of the people who are shooting the worlds, and they are the best, you know, the Yanks and whatever, and some of the Czechs, and they were coming off stages going, I have no idea what went on there, you know, and don't get often that on centerfire matches, you know. Yeah. And yeah, it's a challenge. It's a big challenge.
Fantastic. Before I move on to Duncan, who's next on the screen, you're going to have to tell everybody what that is behind you.
Ah, that is a Bren gun.
Wow.
So I have two. I'm a Section 5 dealer, so I have two. So that one's deactivated, hence it's on show. And I have its identical brother, next serial number along, which is live fire.
Wow, fantastic.
Locked away in the armory. So
of course,
yeah. So that's a Bren, and it belonged to I can't remember off the hand now, but I've got the paperwork. The rifles, they actually landed on Normandy with those ones.
Wow, this is what I love about firearms. Just some of the history that goes along with some of these rifles and guns is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
we could do another podcast about. Let's not talk about the Bren. We need to talk about precision rifle, but I reckon we need to get you back on and talk about some of your collection.
Yeah.
Right, Mark. Thank you for introducing yourself. Duncan, you're next. Go.
Well, I've been shooting for almost as long as Mark, although I'm a few years on the younger side than he is, and older than Dave. But I'm retired now, so I have time to do the things I really enjoy doing. One was shooting, and I can surprise you all by saying that my other activity is I'm a church organist. Now, that's a bit tricky when most shooting sports are involved on a Sunday, but to be honest, I do most of my church organing when I'm home in Northern Ireland, small country church. I play most Sundays. Not the most gifted person, but I try hard. I managed to get away with that. But I've been shooting for many years, rabbiting with a rifle that my father, who was a shooter, got from my mother as a wedding present.
Wow.
So that kind of BSA Super Sport 5, and it's a cracking rifle it is. Ben's bought one as well, but I got mine reconditioned by Don up in Halifax. Somebody, he reconditioned the rifle completely. He loved the walnut stock on it. And it's my pride and joy, although I use it less and less now. I did use it in a long-range rimfire competition at Bisley up to 300 yards. I think I was sitting third or something in the morning.
Wow.
By using a rifle that was bought and built in 1956.
So not just a family... Not just a family heirloom there, then, just a really accurate, reliable rifle to boot.
Indeed, and a lot of family history there. You know, with my late mum giving it to my late dad as a wedding present. But that kind of set the family interest in shooting. Well, Dad was a shooter as well, so it's in the DNA. And then I've been always shooting, but recently, when I said recently, last 15, 20 years, shot 10-meter air rifle. At my local club in Marlow. Now, that is an intriguing sport. I hesitate to call it a sport, but it's probably the only sport that you're paid to stand absolutely still for a round of 20 pellets. But the more you think about it, the worse you do. And I got into the Middlesex League. I started off in Division 5, worked up, and I finally won that league. And the day after I won the Middlesex, it might have been 2014, I sold my fine work barrel the next day and said, I've had enough of that. It was doing my head in. I used to work near Bisley, and then I would go across every lunchtime just to practice and shoot. But it was a very frustrating sport. Highly skilled. And a guy coached me who did a superb job and giving me the essentials. But it's a tough old sport that. Then moved on to civilian service rifle with my 223 at Bisley. Loved that. Shot that still shooting it. Shot it for 6-7 years. And the Winter League is the first weekend of every month from October through to April. And then the Imperial end of June, beginning of July. And then Ben said, Dad, come along and try PRS, which I did in February of last year up at Orion. And whilst I've shot in some pretty poor weather, that weekend at Orion was the worst weather I've ever seen. I should actually have not shot the very last stage down in the shooting a deer. Couldn't even see it. The wind was coming sideways. The wind was coming everywhere. And Ben said, Dad, you should probably have actually not shot that one because it was just too wild.
Yeah.
And then unknown to me, that was a qualifier for the World Championship in France. And I came the next month and did better then. And that qualified me, and I didn't even know there were qualification rounds. So probably better that I didn't know it was. So that was my start to PRS, and then I've got pretty much almost all the matches since then. Although since May of this year, I've focused very much on 2-2 on rimfire.
Yeah.
Which like Mark, I love it. It's a great sport. That the rifles are lovely. I just got a new. I was using an Anschutz, which was a great rifle to use, but because of the short balance, well, the magazine going forward, then I punch the magazine and it jams on you. Not designed to do that. You put a barricade block on, and it takes the center of gravity back a bit. So I changed that and then got a Rimex in my chassis, which is the same as my Creedmoor. So I've got two rifles, which are, I think they're identical weight, actually, both using the XLR chassis. And so it's nice to have that consistency between them. But I love shooting 2-2. And over on my own land, I've got my own layout. And I can quite happily shoot rimfire there, whereas I couldn't shoot full bore.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So a seasoned shooter in your own right before you came to precision rifle, but
yeah,
you've got a very famous son in our shooting circles, Ben McIlwaine. It was Ben that got you into the sport. Then you said.
Well, he got me into PRS, but I got him into shooting many years ago.
All right, okay. He was returning the favour.
When he was a 3-year-old, he was up the mountain with me at night with the dog and gun. So, and he shot everything, you know, and he was took him around all the clay pigeon grounds in the country when he was doing sporting clay pigeons as well. That's something I haven't. Well, I do a bit of shotgun shooting, but I've never really taken it terribly seriously.
Yeah, and as a father myself who shoots competitions now with my son, I know how special that time spent together doing something that you both enjoy and traveling around and just spending time together. I understand how special that can be. So I'm sure it's the same for yourself and Ben.
It was nice. You guys know, but my wife Arlene came with us to Italy this year. We drove down. And it was quite nice for her to see what the two of us get up to whenever we're away. I mean, last year, that first weekend I shot at Orion was my wife's birthday. And Valentine's Day was the day after, but the house was covered in soaking wet gun bags and a kit to dry out.
Yeah.
And then our wedding anniversary was the middle of our week shooting in France World Championship. I missed another couple of wedding anniversary was there. She did send me pictures of the wedding of our wedding to remind me. So we thought this year I might bring her along. So we drove down through France and into Italy, and she enjoyed the experience. And the one thing we have in PRS, certainly at this stage of the sport's development, is the most wonderful camaraderie that I've ever seen in any shooting sport. Now, it might be a symptom of being a fairly small group of, 30, 40 people possibly. But I hope that we never lose that, because it is fantastic.
Yeah, well, I think we need to keep celebrating it and talking about it, and just keep making it happen, because you're right, it is a great community to be a part of. Yeah,
I mean, it's great fun going down to Pro Shoot, heading into Wingfield. Well, the Wingfield, and seeing all the friends are all there shooting, and it's a lovely occasion. That, and then calling in afterwards after a shooting Sunday. To have a hot chocolate before we head home, usually wet.
The hot chocolate, sure.
Usually wet and always cold.
Yeah, a glass of wine for Mark, of course, and beer for the rest of us.
And I've got a little. Yeah, exactly. But the other thing, I marvel at how good some people are. You know, the top 5 people shooting. I'm thinking of full bore now, in addition to small.
Phenomenal.
It is outstanding.
Yeah,
what they can do. I mean, I won't mention any names particularly, for I'll probably leave some out, but we all know who the top 5, top 10 people are, and it is just incredible. I keep saying to people that, it's a young man's sport. Now, that's Rich coming from the senior team, but, it's tough for somebody of my vintage to get around those barricades as sharpish as somebody who's 30 years younger than me. I can tell you that for free.
Yeah.
Although my diet has begun today, though, so I'll try and be a bit quicker next year.
I've got a little confession to make. So obviously I joined you in Italy for the World Championships, not because I was shooting, but because I was supporting my son and also the GBPRA. And on one of those days that we were over there, it was my wife's 50th birthday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was so. When you say there, Duncan, about missing a birthday, and I was just like, yeah, I know what that means.
You feel the pain. And you didn't bring her, and you didn't bring her along either.
Well, she did have the offer, but she didn't want to come along. So it was also our 20th wedding anniversary in September. So I made up for it by we both went away to Cuba for a couple of weeks. So I sort of made up for it a little bit.
Yeah, like me making up to my wife by bringing her to next year's World Championship in Italy.
Absolutely. No, great. Thanks, Duncan. Thanks for introducing yourself and welcome. Simon, do you want to just introduce yourself, please?
Hello, I'm Simon Catling. I'm 55 years old, so just into the seniors. And I've been shooting as a kid, air rifles, whenever there was a fairground on. I was the first one up at the shooting gallery. But didn't take up competitive shooting until about 6-7 years ago. Where I found a 2-2 range local to me, and I started shooting target shooting, single load, prone, and I went from there really. Used the club rifle, went to as many matches as I could find, shot as many postal shoots that I could do. My scorer was fed up with me, so I was always handing him bundles of cards that he had to score and then post off. But it all panned out well for me. I kept shooting, I kept it up, and managed to come top in each class and moving on to each class and then shooting to the top of that one.
Fantastic.
Just carrying on really, patience.
Excellent.
And training.
And what brought you to precision rifle?
Well, I was always shooting 2-2. I worked my way up to Bisley. I was county champion for a year. Went to shoot Bisley for the county, and thoroughly enjoyed it. But you could see there was other people there shooting other things, and it wasn't until I joined Tamar Rangers that it opened my eyes to a whole new world that I didn't really know existed. And that's what took it off, really. I took the skills of target shooting, which I thought were quite good, into precision shooting, and realised it was a whole new ball game. And that's where it started. It was about a couple of years ago.
So Tamar Rangers is a bit of a hotbed for talent, then.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got Andre, Lawrence Barnes, us three. Who else is in the GB team? They're all members of Tamar.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And we've got members that are good shooters that couldn't actually make the qualifiers, but they're still good shooters.
Yeah.
Hopefully 25 is going to be an amazing year.
Yeah. I remember when the GBPRA in its first year, I think we're going back to 2021 now. I think 2021 was the first year of the GBPRA. And one of the things we were talking about is the committee as it was back then. We're talking about how do we increase participation in the sport, and a lot of the shooting up until that point was centre-fire shooting for precision rifle, especially for organised matches. And I remember it was Simon Armstrong who proposed an affiliate model at the club level, where we issue a course of fire and on a monthly basis and invite clubs to come along and use that course of fire and start putting on PR22 matches. And it's great to see a couple of years later sort of the fruits of that by having that PR22 network around the country at Home Office approved clubs, which is what it was targeted at primarily, was, to try and make sure that we could reach as many people as possible. And you guys are just sort of highlighting exactly that at Tamar Rangers, how that's sort of been effective and took off, especially to have so many. I mean, obviously on the centre fire side, there was quite a few of you guys already shooting it anyway, but to be bringing through other people on the 2-2 side as well. That's exactly what we were hoping for. So it's great. It's great to hear just how it's grown. I think on 2-2 PR 2-2 this season, I think we've had about 200 people competing across the affiliate clubs and ranges, which is more shooters than what Centre Fire is getting now.
Yeah, and I can see that growing. I can see that growing. We got, I mean, on the range that I run last weekend, I had 6 new people from 2 clubs. They came down to me for the weekend, or for the Sunday, and 3 of them want to sign up and they want to do it. I ran them through some basic barricades and through stuff, and they got the kit. They you know, and one was 18, couple in their 30s, and they want to give it a go. So
yeah,
it's easy access.
Yeah,
you know, you don't need. A lot of shooters have a 2-2 rifle. They may not have the right scope initially, or the right this, that, and the other, but most people have got a rifle that they can give it a go and try it.
Yeah, and if you're near a local club with a 50-meter range and they can set up steels, then you know you've got a ready-made venue then to be able to get matches going. You might not have the 300 meters to start to bring in the challenge of managing the wind and other things, but to start shooting precision rifle positional shooting, it's an excellent format, and it's something that you know, it's been happening in the USA for quite some time as well with the NRL 2-2. It's not like PR 2-2 was a new concept by any stretch of the imagination. It was already in place in America, and there was a little I think was it one season with NRL 2-2 in the UK at Silverstone, and that was very popular at the time. So no, I really love just what 2-2 precision rifle is doing for the sport in general, and bringing more and more people into the sport. And then to have that showcase event in Italy, the first ever World Championships, of which obviously you guys represented Great Britain and Northern Ireland at, I think that can only help to promote the sport even further.
Yeah, and those people will probably progress to Centre Fire.
Yeah.
So, you know, especially the younger guys, you know, the juniors who are, and the ladies who's shooting the 2-2, hopefully they'll progress to the Centre Fire as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
In that sort of way, that my first experience of, I mentioned the Orion, but I'm just thinking the month before that, though, Ryan Charlton had set up a small range up near where he lives. Yeah. And then I went up on Saturday, shot that. Then the next day, Josh Martin had the Smugglers Challenge down in his space. And that was a fantastic range. I mean, I went to 2 or 3 of those. But the beauty of 2-2 PRS is that arrive up the 2-2 rifle with a scope. If it's at 15 mag, brilliant. If 10 mag, that's fine. And a magazine. Now, if you have 2 5-shot magazines, that would do for your first time. But that's all you need. I can't think of any unsuitable 2-2 rifles. And on that point, a chap in my squad in Italy, South African gentleman, very nice guy, had a single-shot Anschutz 2-2, which he shot the whole World Championships in. And he did very well. But the definite managed to just stick in, he had the 10 rounds on a holder on the side of the rifle. You stick it up, and he did very well.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. So you 2-2 rifle and a scope. That's all you need.
Yeah, you raised a very good point though as well about, you know, the 2-2. You mentioned about Ryan and you mentioned about Josh. 2-2 can be set up at so many different places. Centre Fire, we are limited in this country by the venues, suitable venues. 2-2 suitable venues are all over the country. And what we've been able to do under the GBPRA banner is sort of bring those separate ranges and Home Office approved clubs together, one national leaderboard, one qualification series that feeds into the finals. That, you know, because I'll ask somebody to talk about the finals in a moment, about the path to Italy. But it all sort of came together, didn't it, this year to bring that team forward for Italy.
Yeah.
So
I think,
and Christian, sorry, also an air rifle league being set up as well. First match is up somewhere on the 10th of December. So I'm looking into that. So anybody with a magazine-fed air rifle, I'm sure can play there.
Do you know what? I'm glad that that's starting to start up now. Again, that was something when we set up PR22, the affiliate scheme. We talked about doing something on the air rifle side as well, but there's just enough on with centrefire and 2-2 and getting ready for World Championships and everything. You can't do everything. But again, GBPRA, we recognise that was another opportunity to get more people shooting precision rifle. Doesn't matter what the format is, does it? It doesn't matter whether it's a centrefire, a rimfire, an air rifle. It's a precision rifle match. It's a precision rifle competition, and it's great that that's starting to come in now, and that will open up the door to so many shooters, so many more shooters having a look at the 2-2 and the centrefire discipline as well. I reckon that'll bring another wave of shooters into the sport.
It will. The only downside, Christian, that I see, and I'm sure Mark's too much of a gentleman to say this, but the amount of work on setting up a range. Now, I've never done that, and Mark has down in Timor, but there must be an enormous amount of work on a few people's heads to do all that. It's not easy to write a course of fire for maybe a 10-stage match. I'm sure, Mark, isn't easy, and you do a lot of work in doing that. For I think you ran the one up at ProShoot as well, the qualifier this year, or you did the course of fire for it. But setting targets out, I helped set them out at Bisley last year when Joyce was running the C2, was running the match. It's a big ask that for some person to do that on a monthly basis.
Yeah, it's absolutely massive, and even at a range such as Orion, where you've got steel targetry and firing points in place. It's when we were in our first season and running the matches ourselves amongst us on the committee, it was still a massive task in terms of getting the course of fire, getting it right, making sure that the logistics were taken care of, getting props and barricades ready, promoting the event, taking payments for the event, answering everybody's questions. It's just a huge task, and God bless all those people that do run matches that we can go and shoot.
Thank you, Mark.
I'm lucky at my place because the steels are out all the time. I got to put them up, you got to fix them, you got to arrange the course of fire, and over the last 2 years I've got all the barricades now and bits and pieces, but it is hard work. And I do it on my own with the help of Brian Lawrence, a mate of mine, and you guys all know. And bless him, he turns up, rain, sleet, snow, whatever, and we get it done. But it literally is a two-man and a dog operation, and but we enjoy it, and we wouldn't do it if we didn't. We get a lot out of it.
Did you get your hangers sorted out, Mark?
Did I what?
Get your hangers sorted out. We had some issues last time, didn't we?
Yeah. So we experiment, and this is another thing. You're learning all the time. We experimented with some new hangers for the steels up close because they take a hell of an impact, even off a 2-2 rimfire at 30 yards, 30 meters or whatever. But we've now tried some new things. I've managed to learn how to weld for once. And we've now got it working, and we hammered them on Sunday. We hammered the targets. I mean, we put 300 rounds into one target, and we now know they work. So, but that's a learning curve again. It's target failures, and you feel bad when they go down and stuff like that. But it's all part of it, isn't it?
What's the name of the range again, Mark?
01.
01, and whereabouts are you located?
I'm just outside of Dartmouth in Devon. So we shoot steels out to 300 meters. We've got 2 hills now, loads of barricades. We shoot we've got targets that float in the water, We got the movers finally working. I had it moving yesterday. So yeah, it's it's like a field firing range in its sense. It's in a valley, a small valley. But yeah, it's good fun. It's good fun. The wind can play interesting moves on you. It's you look at the flags. I put flags out, and one's going one direction, one's going the other, one's going this way, one's going the other way.
Sounds like Italy.
Like Italy.
Yeah. And I didn't ask you earlier. What's the name of the business?
My business. I'm FMJ UK. Principally, we're a cerakoting company. I would say 70% of my business is cerakoting. But I'm Section 1 and 5, so I do a lot of stuff for people who, I believe I'm the only Section 5 cerakoter in the country that takes on a lot of stuff. So, yeah, work for a lot of big companies and stuff. So that's basically what we do. Yeah, we do gun sales and bits and stuff, but mainly it's cerakoting and the range.
Yeah, fantastic. So, guys, what did you all make of the qualification season then on the path to Italy?
Exciting, very exciting. It was good to meet the teams, meet everybody, and enjoy all the different aspects of the new PRS shooting.
And did you shoot all 3 matches, Simon?
I did. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, shot the 2 up in Wales and 1 down in Arcs. Yeah, very enjoyable.
And Dave, what did you think about the format of? Because obviously we had the affiliate club selecting their best shooters in each division to go forward to the 3 finales. What did you think about the format of how the qualification was run?
I initially found it a bit confusing. The scores for I only shot 2. I shot 0, 1 and 1 at Pro Shoot. And my scores tallied up and showed that I'd qualified, but I hadn't been picked for the team.
Okay.
So I queried it, and it turned out that my name was down twice and my scores hadn't been added up, and then it wasn't clear that I was a member of GBPRA, which I was for some time. And
so some clerical errors going on there.
Yes, it was, and eventually it was confirmed that I had qualified, and then obviously someone, and Andrew Claxton, had to be told that he hadn't qualified, which I was quite initially didn't want to do that, but I thought, well, this is the first one ever. I may never qualify again. I've got to go for it, so I had to go for it.
I think whenever there's a clerical, we'll call it a clerical administrative error or something like that that's made, I think it's always regrettable and clearly disappointing for Andrew at the time.
Yeah,
I know he took it very, very graciously, which we all thank him for.
Yeah.
But you earned that place on the Great Britain team, and I think it was only right that you took that spot in Italy.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
All right.
Mark, Duncan, what about you guys? Did you find the format okay? Did you enjoy the qualification events?
Yeah, I mean, the first qualification event in Wales was a shame because of the weather. We did 1 day. Should have been 2 days, but it was just horrendous. I mean, it was just, it was Wales. So it was quite bad. Then the second qualifier was on my range, and I had nothing to do with it. I just applied the range. Jack did the course of fire. He put all the targets out and stuff like that. So it was fair for me to qualify. And then the third one was a pro shoot, which I helped Jack set up. I found him all right. I mean, I think it was the first time it's been done. So there was bound to be hiccups here and there, or, people could have said you could have been organised better or not or whatever. I found it fine. I mean, it all seemed to happen. I mean, I was happy. I just outpipped Duncan for the first place on the qualifying, and it was perfect for me. I mean, I was really proud to qualify where I did, and I shot really well. I wouldn't know how to do it any better, to be honest, at the moment.
I think there was a challenge for this particular qualification season because we were up against tight timelines with the qualification only starting in the same year that which we were shooting the World Championships. And for next time, for 2025, what we'll do is we'll take 2024 to run the qualification, and then we should have a full half a year leading up to the summer when the event will be held in 2025, where we'll have already selected the team and people know that they're going to be shooting in the competition and start to plan and get ready for it.
But Christian, I found it a challenge. It was great. I think it couldn't have been done any better given the constraints we had.
Yes.
Of time and need. But I was trying to qualify for the centrifire matches for the Woodland for next year.
Yeah.
So I had a springtime of being up and down to Caerphilly. I know all the Wingfield lot very well now, but there's a lot of matches going on in that Easter to June time. Yeah. And I did my best to get to the last rimfire qualifier, but it was the week of my daughter's wedding. And I said, no, I can do that and get the vote down. No. I knew when to back down and something like that. I wasn't going to win that one.
Yeah.
So I got to. But we have the qualifier with the qualifier this year for the centrifire match Woodlandship next year. But we also had the qualifiers for the 2-2 this year, in the year in which we had the match. Now, next year, we'll have the qualifiers for the rimfire match, presumably for 25. But those people that have qualified for the centrifire in Colorado next year are going to have to get practice in for that as well.
Yes.
So there's no answer to that, I think. It's just we're going to have a lot of shooting, and that's fine. And a lot of driving.
I think it's the lesser of two evils to have the qualification in one year and then shoot the actual match the following year, albeit there is a centrifire match being shot but staggering it. I think trying to condense everything down into that 1 year, I think we don't want to be in that situation again. Maybe some shooters have to take a leaf out of Josh Martin's book and we see this a lot in the USA, don't we, where people will specialise on 2-2, specialise on centrefire. You see a lot of that, don't you? People just say, right, I'm just going to focus on one, and Josh Martin took that decision.
Yeah. I mean,
but now, Christian, you're talking to the seniors here, and we have a limited time in which we have to shoot. So we need to make the best of what time we've left available.
Well, that's true, guys. Fill your boots. Keep doing both if you've got the energy.
But I mean, I shot France, the Worlds in France, and when we went to Italy, there wasn't many people, Duncan, there because we were both in France, that you were doing the same discipline.
Yes, yeah.
Because America's got a much bigger pool of shooters, and you've got the 2-2 lot, you've got the centerfire lot, and there was only a few crossing over, and I think we had such a busy calendar, and we'll have busy calendars going forward because there's such a smaller pool of us, and we want to do it all.
Yes, we have to do it all now.
I just don't think trying to qualify for a World Championships in the same year. I just don't think it's the best way to run it. And,
no, I agree.
And we've been through that period now, and now we can get on a stable footing where everybody understands. 1 year you qualify, the next year you shoot the match, and yes, there's an overlap there, but.
And it makes also you can plan money-wise, because it's expensive.
Yeah.
You know, if you're flying somewhere or going somewhere, you know, or even Italy was, you know, wasn't cheap for us. And if you qualify this year, at least you've got a period of time to be able to afford to represent GB, to go and shoot. If you did it all in the same year, you might find you qualify in July to find out you're shooting in September. Well, it's not enough time to get it all together.
No, absolutely.
And the other thing we haven't mentioned as well is the IPRF World Championships are not the only big show in town. Every year, PRS run their grand finale over in America, where they invite the best shooters from each country that's running a PRS series. And okay, it's not as many shooters going from each country. The UK had 5 lads.
Yeah.
Went over this year, plus the organisers themselves of that series, Andy and the team. But still, you know, if you're a serious centre fire competitor, we talk about the top 5. You know, there is an elite in our sport in the country in centre fire, and you know, on any day, one of them could pip it. Although nobody could second Josh's consistency this year until that final match of the season, the finale. But you know, that's another one to be focused on for those shooters. And luckily, what we've been able to do is we've been able to come to that agreement where PRS UK matches also count as qualification matches for the world. So at least what we haven't got a competing series, at least people can try and aim for something, you know, shoot one match but aiming for 2 things.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
I think we've just lost Dave. Hopefully it's just a... Is this what happens with you seniors? You just need a toilet break. You need a toilet break.
They live in the back of beyond. They're up in North somewhere or other. North Dave's Minehead. I mean that's nearly Wales, isn't it? So he'll have no internet.
Well, it's good to have you back there. I was just a bit worried that you seniors might not be able to last a full podcast before you need to have a comfort break. No.
I've been going. I've been going by the lie down.
little nap in the middle of the podcast. That's fine. Guys, so come on then. We've touched on Italy, but we haven't talked about it properly. And I'd be very interested in hearing what Mark's and Duncan's contrast is with France last year at the Centrefire World Championships. But let's just talk about Italy right now. What did you make of it?
I thought the course of fire was good. Mm-hmm. I thought it was very challenging. We tend to shoot over here, even with football, where you hopefully a lot of the time you see splash. Yeah. If you can see you miss, you can correct.
Yeah.
There wasn't much of that in Italy. The targets were in the air, you know, or the background was so vague. So if you wasn't on it, you wasn't on it. And I shot, I think I shot poorly on the first day because I thought too much about the wind. I thought too much about this, and you know, it was difficult to. Yet, when I was with some of the girls, the American girls, the young ones, the juniors, they come off the stage. They've gone bang, 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 and they come off, and I'd go, "What was that?" She went straight up. I went straight up. Didn't even think about the window. Went straight up. I went straight up, and you just think, am I overcomplicating? Am I overthinking of this? And after being not yelled at, talked sternly by Andre in the car back to the hotel, when I shot on my last day, I doubled my score.
Yeah.
Because I didn't overthink it. Fired straight up. If it didn't work, then work it out.
Yeah.
But I found it tricky. Whereas France was different. You could see a lot in France. you could see a lot what was going on in France. But it was different terrain. I mean, that hill in Italy. I mean, not only was it hot, you know, the thermals are going this way, the wind's going this way, the flag's going this way. You know, I shot one stage, I can't remember it was, and on one of the targets, there was 2 of those pennants. You know, they had wind flags, and literally one was pointing one way and one was pointing the other on the same target. And you just go, what?
Everybody was talking about it.
It was a great venue. I mean, it was a great venue. It was varied, and they did put on for the first Worlds, I thought they did well.
Yeah. Simon, any reflections on Italy?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I got over nervous. I got too excited. I remember one stage I went up, missed my first target. I hit the second one. I hit the third one, and then I hit 3 more again, but I forgot to move. I was just so excited that I'd hit something, I forgot to move. but that's part of the competition. It's getting everything in control. It's understanding what you've got to shoot and how you've got to shoot it.
Isn't there a massive mental aspect to this sport?
Oh, it's huge. I'm amazed as to how much is involved.
Yeah.
Prone target shooting at a paper target, you lay down, you've got 20 minutes to take 10 perfect shots.
Yeah.
In PRS, you've got very little time to work everything out, take your 10 shots or more, and move and reposition and get it precisely right and take that shot. Brilliant. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. I think the mental aspect to this sport is something that people don't truly appreciate until they've been to a match and competed. And you're not, and you know, and a lot of it is competing against yourself.
Yeah.
You're not competing with the other people. You're competing against yourself. If
you're talking to yourself while you're trying to shoot, that doesn't help. If you're trying to tell yourself what to do rather than just doing it because you're running out of time, you get a mag malfunction. You've got to drop your mag, find your next one, load that, keep composed to take on the next 5 shots.
Yeah, as soon as that buzzer goes, and you know the time's ticking away. That's
it. Get a whoosh in your ears, and you're off.
Yeah,
I think the other thing is that I think all of us shoot better when you're shooting just for fun or club or wherever. Mm-hmm. But when you've got that shirt on and you think you're shooting for your country, you put that additional amount of pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
And you again on the second day I shot, I went in with a little bit of a different mindset. I went in with, I'm shooting for myself today. All what points I can get goes for the team.
Yeah.
But I'm not really shooting for the team. I got to shoot for myself today. I got to enjoy. I've got to get it down, you know. And it helps because I think there's a lot of pressure wearing that shirt.
Yeah.
You feel there's a lot of people. You know, I mean, we had a big squad. I mean, we were one of the only countries that put a full squad out, and for all the divisions, and we had a lot of friends there, and wives, girlfriends, and you knew people were watching back home, and there's a lot of pressure. You know,
But I'll tell you what, isn't that something else that we should be proud of and celebrate? It wasn't just the performance of Team Great Britain at the World Championships, but just the fact that we turned up with every place filled. And you know, you guys have spoken tonight about how we're a small community. There's not a lot of precision rifle shooters out there, although it is growing every year. It grows and grows. But to be able to put out a full team, I thought that was a great accomplishment.
And Christian, if I can say, the support we had from the GBPRA was brilliant. To have Adam and Jack supporting us the one shooting was absolutely superb. And I'll not give too many secrets of how of our success as a team to anybody else might be watching, but the way we personally organised ourselves and supported each other was outstanding.
And I think, and we had a lot of that in place in France. There was some of that happening, but it was a little bit informal.
It was nicely refined and added to and formalised, which worked really well in Italy, really well indeed.
Yeah, I thought so too. I think Jack and Adam did a fantastic job of getting everything organised, and like you said, they came out there, even though they weren't shooting, to support the team and make sure that everything was looked after. Yeah,
it was hard. It was harder work being a buddy to Andre than it was shooting.
I was just glad I wasn't buddying with my son, because God, the fireworks. When you're doing something with family, it can usually be a bit more stressful than it needs to be at times. Yeah. So I was glad that I could leave Luca. I did stay and support him quite a lot, but I had quite a lot to do for the IPRF while I was there. So it was good that I could just sort of leave him with Dean Scott, and the two of them got on really well. So
And Christian, talking with Dean Scott, the bags he produces now, those Celtic Precision bags, are absolutely. I think we all use them. I think they were the most used bag or second most used bag in the competition. Yeah, but those Celtic Precision bags are brilliant.
Yeah, he's actually. I've just got some battle wax off him.
Yes,
ready for the weekend to get my bag all waxed up, ready for the match. I'm just going to admit Dave in, if I can. Yeah, there we go. There he comes. Look, I think just the team spirit, the team camaraderie, how things are organised, everybody pulling together and helping each other. A highlight for me was that training day where we went. Was the day before the competition started, and we all got together at one of the local ranges, and everybody was practicing there. I know Mark and Andre, I think you guys couldn't make it. I think you had something else to do back at the range on the day. I think that was it, wasn't it? But that was a great day, and we had the boar sausages and all that sort of stuff. But just the camaraderie was fantastic.
The lunch by itself was worth it.
Yeah. So Dave, I know you cut out there, but did you have any reflections on Italy?
Yeah, many. I think my lack of experience shone through. Let's say that. It was. I enjoyed every minute of it. It was absolutely fantastic. I just couldn't shoot. I don't know what went wrong at all. I know the nerves got me initially, but once the nerves had gone, I got through that. I started shooting okay. I felt comfortable. I felt healthy. The heat didn't seem to get to me. I didn't feel like I was doing anything wrong, but couldn't hit anything.
Did you have a better day on day two, or was it?
Slightly better day on day two, up until dinner time, and then after dinner, it just seemed to fall apart again. There was one stage I was shooting, the wind was going everywhere, and then on the next shooter, the wind, you could see everything dropped. It was so frustrating. The next guy cleaned it, whereas I'm hitting 2s and 3s.
Yeah, I don't think you're unique in that respect, though, Dave. I think there's a lot of people that turn up to these competitions, even people that are very experienced, and they just, for some reason, they just turn up and have a bad day in the office.
Yeah,
I think you're not unique.
Yeah. But I've got new kit, but I've got new kit for my own ego, I suppose. There was nothing wrong with the kit I took. I could hit sub-minute groups at 100 yards all day long with the kit I took, just not on that competition. And I can't explain it. It was just very frustrating. I've only now just started being able to watch YouTube videos of the championships, because it's been that bad for me. It's been awful. The worst and best experience of my life.
I was just gonna say maybe not a good experience for the shooting side of things. It sounds like, but Right, I spent some time with you over there, Dave, as I did with everybody else, and you certainly seem to enjoy the experience and,
it's
the
fantastic,
time.
Yeah. Amazing. I'm looking forward to the next one. Hopefully, I can qualify. Hopefully I will, and I'm looking forward to it.
I think, I mean, Dave, it was your first Worlds, Simon's first Worlds. Duncan and I were lucky enough to go to France last year, and I learned a lot from France. I went into France really nervous, kind of not knowing what to expect and everything. But I think the more you do these big comps, I think the more you go in a bit calmer. And you know what's going to go on. You know there's going to be loads of people. You know there's going to be a good stage, there's going to be a bad stage, whatever. But you know in your mind you're going to turn up, there's going to be hundreds of people, loads of stages. You're going to be mixed with people from all over the world. Now you've done the first one, going into the second one.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I think it's really important that our top shooters in the country, and you guys are our top shooters in senior division, keep trying to qualify for the Worlds and keep taking and building your experience of shooting in big competitions and taking your performances on behalf of yourselves and on behalf of the team and on behalf of the country forwards. And even if you aren't to qualify for a particular competition, again, it comes back to that community that we're in and that team spirit that we've got. And, hopefully, we can all rely on one another to be supporting whoever does qualify and make sure that they benefit from the experiences of others and, take that forward into their performance representing Great Britain. I think that's very important.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Because we want to beat the Americans.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. We want to beat the Americans and we want to keep the Scandinavians at bay.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I have to say, I thought in Italy, not so much in France, but in Italy, there was a lot more. I don't know whether it was the location or whatever, but everybody was really friendly. I mean, the squads were great. I mean, my squad was fun. Well, Simon and I were in the same squad, and the squad was great. I mean, everybody helped each other, and you don't often get that. I'm sure at the Olympics there might be one or two people or stuff like these big events, and you watch on YouTube the PRS bigger finals and stuff in America, and you can see everybody's at each, no one's giving anybody any quarter. In Italy, everybody helped each other, and there was a lot of good banter, and it was really enjoyable.
I wonder why that is. Sorry, Duncan, go on.
And enjoyable and hot. I think on my second day, I drank three or four 1.5 liter bottles of water.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I didn't even go to the loo much, so I was absorbing.
Dehydrated.
Yeah, dehydrated to the extreme. But it could catch you out, though. And I know some people were suffering very much because they hadn't got enough water. And if you're on top of the hill, it's a long way down to get more water.
Yeah, but that was the thing with the squads. They were sharing water. They were doing stuff from other teams. And I mean, GB, we gave a lot of stuff to other teams. Yeah. We did well. I think we earned a lot of brownie points. But I know the Canadians and the Americans were really quite chuffed with us. They did come up and say a lot of nice things about us, which was really good. It was really nice.
Never more so than when Adam Sinfield bought us all ice cream.
Yeah.
I think that cost him about €80 or something.
It did, out of his own pocket as well. So that was a very generous gesture from the boss.
Yeah. I'm sure Andre's waiting to see if he puts an expense claim in for that. If anybody doesn't know, Andre's our treasurer. So just coming back to what you were saying there, Mark, because myself, you and Duncan were in France, and the heat, it felt about as hot in France as it did in Italy. But But didn't it just feel in France a lot more exposed and raw? It felt like a hard slog in France, whereas in Italy, I know it was challenging conditions, but once you got off the hill, you were down near the facilities a bit more. You could get a bit more shade. I felt in Italy as well.
I still think that's a lot to do with the caliber we're shooting. See, in France, we were shooting centerfire. You're shooting. You got. There's a lot of intense. There's the recoil. There's a blast.
Yeah.
You do all that. In Italy, you went and shot a stage. You came off as a refreshed, coming off as you went on.
Whereas, you don't have the concussion of the
by the end of the second day. By the end of the second day, 200 rounds down. And you just concussive blasts, especially in France. There was quite a few stages where the brakes were, you were between two bits of concrete. You were starting to feel it towards the end. And I think maybe that had something to do with it. But, I think it was as warm in Italy as it was in France.
This might be controversial. Do you think the team was a bit more well-behaved in Italy than what it was in France? Was there a bit more drinking going on in France than what there was in Italy?
Not at all. We're immaculately behaved in both countries. Everybody.
Not sure about that.
But I think, apart from a couple of, people because of their own arrangements, the fact that all the team were together virtually in one hotel, I thought was quite good. That was quite good. And we weren't far from the range, which helps. So that in the morning, at the end of the day, the hotel we stayed at was great, and I think the problem in France was we were scattered.
Yeah.
You had Team AI over here, you had us over there, these over here, people over here, people.
And I don't. Nobody wanted to stay in the nunnery. That was the problem. Nobody wanted to.
Well, the nunnery was all right. I did get my rifle blessed, but it didn't help.
Oh, it's great. No, it just felt a little bit more. We've already touched on this. It felt a little bit more professional and polished, did Italy?
Yeah. Well, it was our second one, wasn't it? So we learned a lot from the first one. The buddy thing was fantastic. We had more. Our briefings at the end of the day, and stuff like that. Running everything down. It was professional. We're learning. We're learning every year, and I think. Next year, what's next year? Next year's the centerfire. The year after the rimfire, wherever it is, I think we'll be spot on.
Yeah. Being senior shooters, gentlemen of a certain age, does it bring any unique challenges for you guys that maybe some of the other shooters, the younger breed, don't necessarily have to think about? It's a physical sport. It's a physical sport.
Well, the flexibility needed to get down to some of those low barricades, I find challenging. But I've not just my diet has begun today, but I'm joining up with the yoga class or one of those flexibility things as well. And if my tummy was smaller, I could probably bend over more. But determined to and that's good health benefits too for everything else. But it is. Andy Sled said to me that when you move quickly, and when you shoot slowly. But I'm afraid people of a certain age, and looking at myself here, moving quickly is a bit of a challenge. But I can do something about that.
So joking aside then, thinking about it, you guys maybe are thinking a little bit more about, what exercises you could be doing and how you keep fit just to stay active in the sport and be able to compete.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm a dog, and I walk him every morning, every night, and we do quite a few miles and stuff. And even though the business I'm in, I do a lot of exercise, but it is getting difficult getting back up. Falling down is easy, getting back up. And as you get older, you get tireder. You know, there's no ways around it. I mean, I'm 67. You shoot against somebody who's 22.
Yeah.
You know, and the stage, as you've moved 5 places along a stage, if you timed it, he'll be at the end and I'll be in the middle, because they just move quicker. There's no allowances. It's not like there's a handicap system. You know, you shoot the same course of fire, the same time as anybody who's a third of your age, quarter of your age. So, yeah, there's going to be, I don't think you can really say there's anything wrong with it. I mean, looking at the PRS, the other night I looked at the final in America, and Rusty, who is
Rusty Ulmer.
Yeah, he was in top 20, was he, or something? And
I think higher, maybe third.
Yeah, he's my age, and I shot. He was in my squad in France, and you know, they're used to him. He's good, you know. And he obviously competes well. But as you get older, it's harder. As you get older, it's harder. I mean, there's no coming around it, you know.
And Simon, Dave, it's interesting that Mark mentions their PRS, because I think their age limit for senior is 60. Yeah. And I think for GBPRA is 55. So Dave, Simon, any thoughts on where that limit is set? Do you think 60 sounds appropriate, or 55, or would you guys think maybe something different?
55 is fine. Personally, I'm probably the fittest I've been in 10 years. I've lost quite a lot of weight recently. I'm in a fairly physical job, so yeah, I'm doing a lot of dry fire practice where I can. My rifle's heavy, so yeah, I'm competing at 10-mile ranges. I'm competing against people that are a lot younger than me, and I'm as agile as some of them. I find a lot of it is practice, like rear tripod support. It's not because of my age that I'm struggling. It's because I'm not used to it. And the more I practice, the better I get. So yes, you're right. I can get down, and getting up, I might not be as quick as I used to be, but it's practice, practice, practice. I'll get in there. Yeah.
Simon, anything that...
He's 7.
Simon, any words of advice for the older shooters out there?
Literally practice. Watch your health. Walk a dog, or just go out walking for yourself, and enjoy yourself. Feel comfortable about it all. It's not stressful. It's just challenging. Yeah. It's a challenge. It's another mental challenge, and I think they're the good things that are going to keep us all healthy.
Absolutely, I think that's what they say, don't they? You know, have a target, have a focus, something that's active, and you'll live longer just because you're doing something.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Yeah. Now, there's a very important reason that I'm asking you this question, and that's because I'm coming after you guys.
Come on.
I'm not doing very well against the younger lads and lasses, and I reckon my time will come in 7 years' time. As soon as I hit 55, that's it. I'm just going to be qualifying for everything. I'm going to be at all these events. I've got 7 years of practice and keep myself fit. And then you guys see, I'll be giving you a run for your money.
Yeah, no chance.
And Christian, your son will still be beating you.
Yeah.
but that's a beauty. I mean, in our team in Italy, we had 2 or 3 couples were shooting together, Andrea and Ryan and Ben and Laura. and father and son team, and it was a big family occasion, and it's such a nice group we have. Isn't it fantastic to be in a sport such as this where we can compete?
Yeah, the PR22 Worlds were a bit bittersweet for me because I was so proud of Luca qualifying, and I wouldn't have wanted it any other way that he was shooting in the match rather than myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, after the first qualification match for Italy, I won my first ever medal. I won a bronze medal, 3rd place for factory division after that match. And I was holding one of them qualification spots. I couldn't shoot the match at your place, Mark. And then the final qualification match at Pro Shoot, I fell out of the qualification spots for factory. So personally, I was a bit gutted that I didn't qualify myself for Great Britain. But I'm super proud that Luca was there and got to experience it. And I experienced all the emotion through him, really. So yeah, it was a fantastic experience. So yeah, I'm currently in 4th place for USA in factory division, with 1 qualification match to go. And if I don't qualify, at least I'll be able to go and follow Luca again.
I think, I mean, my wife, Julie, she said, how long am I going to keep doing it? You know, and it's an interesting question because at the moment I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't think I would give it up mentally. I think it would only be physically. So will I be still doing it when I'm 70, 3 years time, isn't it? Yeah, 3 years time. Hopefully. But you just don't know, do you? You know, yeah. And the trouble is, when you look at some of the ages, we were talking about this in Italy, dare I say around the bar, that there's quite a good few open shooters, factory shooters, who will be senior in a couple of years' time.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll see where they go.
Good thing having a bit of competition.
Yeah, agreed. But by then, if I don't qualify, it doesn't worry me. I mean, it really doesn't. It's like I've qualified for the US next year. I still don't know whether I'm going to go. But I mean, Duncan and I have been shooting competitions for so long that it's not like you've been there, seen it and done it, but it's like if you don't make it, it's not like the end of the world.
Agreed, yeah.
It's not like the end of the world. You know, you've enjoyed getting there, and if you don't quite make it to the line, you know.
Do you know what? I just really love being around it. I just think it's such an amazing sport. You know, and I'm not the best shooter by any stretch of the imagination, but I love competing. I love trying my best. I love being around everybody else that's doing it as well, and I love talking about it. You know, I must like talking about it because I do a podcast about it. But you know, I just think it's just such a fantastic sport that all levels of ability can enjoy just because of what it is and the people that you're with, and you know, sharing that passion for it, really.
Yeah, and if you're having a bad time of it, someone actually turns around and helps you.
Yeah.
You know, someone will say, "Oh, I can help you with this." My first time of qualifying, my first 2 rounds, I didn't hit anything. I was just having a real mare of a time. And Tom Rice turned around and went, "Right, why don't you try this?" And suddenly I'm hitting things. He's like, "Oh, you can hit things then." I'm like, "Oh, yeah." So it was that sort of freed it up for me, made me feel a lot more relaxed. And it's not such a, you get worried that a sport, no one's going to help you. They all want to win. Well, everybody wants you to win. You know, everyone wants to win, so everyone's willing to help. It's a different world. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Well, on that point Simon has just made, the only infighting within the group that we have is fighting for people to lend you their kit if you need it to buy anything else. Everybody wants you to use theirs. Come on, use mine, take mine. So such is a community in which we should.
Yeah. Too supportive at times. It's like, leave me alone. Yeah. Guys, so look, I can clearly see that you've all had a fantastic experience throughout the season, through your qualification campaign, through your journey to Italy, whether you shot well or you didn't. You know, you've had a great experience and been part of something very memorable and that will live on in precision rifle folklore for many years to come. It's there in the history books as the first ever World Championships of precision rifle. And you guys represented Great Britain and Northern Ireland at that match. So kudos to you all. But where are you going next with your shooting? So we've got centrefire qualification that concludes at the end of this year for the second centrefire World Championships in USA next year, next September. Are you all giving it a go? Hoping to be there?
Yeah, I've booked my ticket there.
Right.
Josh is shooting that on Exmoor because it's just around the corner from me. So no brainer really. Just hopefully I've got my rifle back. I've got my 6.5 Creedmoor being rebarreled. Just waiting for that to come back. If it doesn't, I'm going with the 308.
Yeah, so that's the final qualification match of the year, which is at Josh's match, isn't it? C2 precision match.
Yeah.
Down in the deepest, darkest southwest of the country.
Yeah, on my doorstep.
So, and then that hopefully will be you going to USA then, Dave.
Well, I don't know. It'd be my only qualifier, so I don't know. I'm just going because it's on my doorstep. So
Well,
I've never shot a centrefire. I've never shot a centrefire match like that before, so that'll be another learning curve for me. But yeah,
well, I'll see you there, mate. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and Josh knows his stuff when it comes to precision rifle matches, so I'm sure it's going to be a cracking match. And bloody hell, 120 round count though.
Yeah.
I'll have a headache by the end of that, and I think my arthritis will have flared up. I'll have to take it. Again, I'm telling you guys, I'm getting old. I've been diagnosed with arthritis in my wrist this year. It really messed up my shooting this year. I mean, every time I picked up a barricade bag, my wrist was going. So yeah, I'm getting old. Right, Mark at USA.
Well, at the moment I'm second behind Duncan, so I've technically possibly qualified unless these other guys come up behind me. I did say to Jack when I left Italy that I wouldn't be going. I left Italy with an odd mindset that I thought I'd done enough. You know, it was an odd feeling, and I just wanted to concentrate on other stuff really. And I'm busy at work and different things, but who knows? Who knows?
It takes.
I'll make my mind up when the final qualifications come out.
This sport of ours, and certainly something like shooting in a World Championships, it takes it out of you mentally. It's you know, the effort that goes into actually getting there, then the preparation that you have to go through, getting everything ready to go out there. And again, I didn't shoot, but you know, I supported getting Luca out there, so it was like I was living it through him. It does take a lot out of you,
and
not to mention the expense.
Well, there is that as well. You know, it will be an expensive trip, but it'd be greght.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
It'd be great to do it again. There's no doubt about it. It'd be great to do it again. And I'm not worried about, even if I qualified, how I did, as long as I enjoyed myself and you know, and sort of, you know, hopefully do the country proud sort of thing. But we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. I haven't made my mind up. I mean, if I hadn't qualified or was nowhere near it, then it'd be academic. But the fact is that I think I may have qualified. We'll see.
Well, it's a nice decision to have to make.
Yeah.
Duncan?
Well, yes, it would be great, but it's a long way. And again, I haven't shot many centrefire matches this year because I was focusing on rimfire. I would like to have a couple of good, solid matches behind me in the new year before I take a decision on that, assuming I do qualify. I would like to get my centrefire scores a bit higher than they have been. So I'll work on that seriously from now on. We have 2 matches in December, both the Bisley one and the C2 Josh's one at the end of the month. So that's getting back into the centrefire saddle again. So after a couple of matches in the new year, I will then decide whether I would go or not, assuming I've qualified.
Yeah. And what about yourself, Simon?
Well, I do have a rifle. I do have all the kit. I do have everything. But I have put myself into 2-2 for the moment. I would love to just say, I'm going to do everything. But for me, I'm building a house at the moment. And I've got a lot going on, like yourselves. The wedding anniversary, that did fall on a competition day. I don't know how you all do it, but it happens. I would like to take a run up to it all. I would like to enjoy what I've done.
Yeah.
And I've got my kit together, learn to use it, and then come out in the next couple of years and try centrefire. I definitely want to do centrefire, but I've come from 2-2. I've enjoyed 2-2. I've done 2-2 PRS. I've only been shooting full bore a couple of years. And that's just at Tamar Rangers and military ranges. I've never shot a centrefire competition.
Yeah.
So
well, look,
a whole experience. I'm looking forward to it.
We have people going out to Italy in ladies division, junior division, who hadn't shot a precision rifle match before, and it is true that in the UK, when we step away from open division and factory division and we start to look at junior ladies and senior and limited as well, we don't have that many people that are competing for play. Well, just competing in those divisions, full stop. And clearly, you guys are fantastic shooters. Been shooting all your life, as you talked about tonight. You've been, really good competitors. You've been excellent ambassadors for the sport, for your teammates, for the country. And I'd love to see you all again representing the country, representing the GBPRA at another World Championships next year in USA. So, my personal little plea would be, go and shoot it. We need you guys flying the flag. So if that influences you at all, I'll have done my job tonight.
Okay. I think the wife's listening.
So, fellas, it feels like we're coming to sort of a little bit of a natural conclusion to the podcast tonight. Have you got any last reflections? Anything that you wanted to talk about that we haven't touched on?
I'd just like to say I'd like to thank you guys who organise it. I mean, the committee, as you are, being on a local club committee, I know how much hard work goes into it and how much behind the scenes goes into it. And I think that if we hadn't, I know there was a rocky start a few years back with all, is it PRS, is it GBO or whatever, but it's now settled down to a nice thing. And I think that because we've got that stabilized now and the website works and this works, and I think it's going to grow. And I think the more we as seniors try and bring other people on and talk about it, shows that, hell, if we can do it at our age, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
Indeed, Christian, and I would endorse what Marcus said, thanks to you guys organising it. What you did, particularly in Italy this year, was fantastic. And also a shout out to the PRS guys too. Andy, Trez and James do a brilliant job in organising those matches at Pro Shoot, 2-day matches. And the young guys working as well, the day jobs to do, and setting those courses out is a big task. So well done to all you guys who are supporting precision shooting in the UK. And my objective is to get more people into the sport. If I had to give up to get a couple of young people in, I'd be very happy to do so.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And we should also, while we're mentioning PRS UK, you've also got C2 Precision. You've got Gardener's Guns up in the Scottish Borders. Those guys have all ran matches, and as well as our home office qualification matches for Centre Fire, as well as our home office approved clubs up and down the country that are supporting PR2 too. So yeah, I mean, look, it's there's a lot of people that put a lot of hard work into the sport, but to a man, whenever shooters turn up at the range, whether it's lending gear to people, encouraging people, whether it's just being positive about the sport and talking about it, we're all doing our part, I feel, to make it an enjoyable sport and to grow participation. So I think we should all take a small amount of credit for the growth of our sport over the past few years. Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time tonight, and we'll just say thank you to our watchers and listeners for joining us and being patient as we've waffled on. And thanks everybody. Good night.
Thank
you. Bye.
Bye now.
Good night.